Imagine being so dominant in your sport that fans and rivals alike simply shook their heads and said, "You can't beat him." Imagine being so beloved by an entire city that generations later, your name is still synonymous with victory, pride, and unshakable loyalty. That was Bernie Parent. And now the hockey world is mourning. Hall of Fame goaltender Bernie Parent, the man who backstopped the Philadelphia Flyers to their only 2 Stanley Cup championships, has died at the age of 80. He passed peacefully in his sleep, leaving behind not just a record of excellence, but a legacy that is woven into the very fabric of Philadelphia sports history. When news of his death broke, fans across the NHL stopped in their tracks. Parent wasn't just another player. He was a legend, a man whose calm, steady presence in net defined the Broad Street Bullies era of Flyers hockey in the 1970s. His story is one of grit, resilience, and triumph, the kind of story Philadelphia fans live for. Former teammate Joe Watson, clearly shaken, said Parent had been in terrible pain in recent years due to back problems. "Bernie was in such pain he could hardly walk," Watson explained. "We had a great time, but I felt bad because he was in such terrible pain. To see this happen, it's very sad." He recalled just seeing Parent at an event the Friday before his passing, a haunting reminder of how quickly life can change. But when people talk about Bernie Parent, they don't start with pain. They start with greatness. Between 1973 and 1975, Parent was unstoppable. He didn't just help the Flyers win. He led them night after night into uncharted territory. In 1974, he guided Philadelphia to its first Stanley Cup, making them the first NHL expansion team ever to win the trophy. Then, as if to silence anyone who thought it was luck, he did it again in 1975. 2 cups back-to-back. In both of those seasons, Parent claimed the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP and the Vezina Trophy as the league's best goaltender. No goaltender in Flyers history has matched that run. And here's the hook that keeps us hooked. The Philadelphia Flyers have existed for nearly 6 decades, but those 2 championships remain the only cups the franchise has ever won. Think about that. The only banners hanging from the rafters, the only parades down Broad Street, both secured with Bernie Parent as the last line of defense. His brilliance wasn't just valuable, it was irreplaceable. The Flyers organization released a statement that captured the sentiment perfectly. The legend of Bernie Parent reached far beyond the ice and his accolades. Bernie had a deep love for Philadelphia and fans of the Flyers. He was passionate about his role as an ambassador for Ed Snyder youth hockey and education and inspired an entire generation of hockey fans. He dedicated his time, energy, and enthusiasm to not only grow the game, but also to spread joy to anyone he encountered. And that joy is what fans will remember. Parent wasn't just great in net, he was magnetic off the ice. Teammates say he had the personality of a warm, gregarious bear, always laughing, always talking, always giving fans the time of day. He loved to show off his Stanley Cup rings, not to boast, but to share the pride with the people who supported him. While many athletes retreat from fans, Bernie embraced them. Let's rewind to where it all began. Parent started his NHL journey with the Boston Bruins in 1965, but his career truly took shape when the Philadelphia Flyers selected him in the 1967 expansion draft. His first stint in Philly lasted just 3.5 seasons before he was traded to Toronto. But destiny had other plans. He returned to Philadelphia in 1973, and that's when magic happened. Over the next 2 seasons, he played the best hockey of his life, arguably the best goaltending stretch in NHL history. In the 1973-74 regular season, the Flyers won 47 games, the best in the league. The following year, they won 44, again leading the NHL. Parent was the wall behind it all, shutting down opponents when it mattered most. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman's statement summed up his impact. At his unbeatable, unflappable best on the ice when the stakes were highest, Bernie was a warm, gregarious bear of a man off the ice who was venerated in Philadelphia and adored throughout the hockey world. The entire National Hockey League family mourns the passing of this beloved icon and sends its deepest condolences to his wife, Jeannie, his family, and his countless fans and friends. Every legend eventually faces the twilight of their career, and for Parent, that came painfully early. An eye injury in 1979 forced him into retirement at just 34 years old. Yet his legacy was already cemented. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1984, just 5 years after leaving the game. And in 2017, he was named one of the NHL's top 100 players of all time. But here's the part that cements why Philadelphia loved him so much. He never really left. Long after his playing days ended, Parent remained a fixture in the Flyers community. He served as an ambassador for the team, always available to shake hands, pose for photos, or share stories. Fans could count on him to show up at events with his trademark smile and those famous championship rings. He wasn't just a hockey player who left his mark and disappeared. He stayed, he gave back, and he remained one of them. Joe Watson's words capture that perfectly. He was so good with people. A lot of athletes don't get it or don't give fans the time of day. Bernie gave everyone the time of day. He'd always have his rings on. He'd show them to the people, and people loved to see them. And that's what makes Bernie Parent's passing so painful for Philadelphia. This wasn't just a great athlete dying. This was a family member, a friend, a neighbor. This was someone who built his life in the city, gave back to the community, and always carried himself with a rare combination of humility and pride. So where does his legacy stand today? It's carved in stone. He's the only goaltender in Flyers history to win the cup, the only one to bring that ultimate glory home. For decades, fans have dreamed of a third championship, but through the years of near misses and heartbreak, they always had Parent to look back on. He became not just a benchmark of greatness, but a symbol of hope. Here's the final hook to leave you thinking. In sports, legends often fade as time moves on. But some names never leave the conversation. For Philadelphia, Bernie Parent is one of those names. He was more than a goalie. He was more than a champion. He was a symbol of resilience, joy, and love for the game. And as fans mourn today, they do so knowing that his spirit will live forever in the city he adored. Rest in peace, Bernie Parent, a champion on the ice, a gentleman off of it, and forever the heart of Flyers hockey.